Hey everyone, Nick here, host of the Tabletop Podcast, and at the last Friday of the month, we always release our Patreon-only Wild Magic podcast. It's a great podcast, and we always do a little bit of a free clip here, so I hope you enjoy, and if you haven't already, go check out The Last Hunting of the Boar, the free module that we dropped in our Patreon. You just have to sign up as a free member. I promise, no money required. And I hope you enjoy this episode of Wild Magic. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wild Magic. This is the show for patrons on Patreon who love this little group of friends more than anyone else. We're so glad to have you, and by we, today it's an intimate Wild Magic. It's just me and the buddies sitting across the table from me. Who are you?
It's me, Franco. Do you ever realize how whenever you talk about this? Never mind. Forget that.
No.
Do you have any?
No. Let's go back. I want to hear what you were about to say.
Do you ever realize like how you introduce us every time is like it's always like you're confused about who is in the room with you. You're like what's happening here?
Who are you?
What is this character?
The character is a host who's never hosted before and is scared of his duties. and maybe intimidated by the level of skill of the guests around him, you know?
Well, I tell you, I fucked up on my game yesterday.
Okay.
I just totally ran something wrong. I ran combat wrong, and it made it more deadly.
Oh, tell me more.
So I was running Karen, and I always forget this, but basically when you enter combat, you have to make a dex save to act before the monsters.
So it's like initiative enemy. Kind of thing?
It's a little bit like initiative, yeah. And basically, 3 of the 4 Okay, look, there were 2 PCs. 2 people showed up to my very popular open table that I was very nervous about until we started playing it, and then I was like, okay, this might work.
Yeah.
So two players showed up, and then I was like, you guys might need more help, and so they hired 2 retainers who were going to get a share of the treasure.
Yes.
But anyway, they encountered this monster. 3 of them passed their dex save in order to go first before the monster, and then one of them failed.
Yeah.
One of the retainers. So the 3 of them went. Then the monster. And then what was supposed to happen is then all of them go.
Yeah.
Because basically it's like you're seeing if you can act before them, but then otherwise combat alternates turns.
Right.
I feel like I always fuck this up.
Yeah.
I just made the other retainer go, like the 4th character that didn't pass go, and then the monsters go again. Oh. And I was like, I was super wrong.
Yeah. Is that you're essentially giving the monsters 2 actions per one player action.
Yeah, until the next thing happens. So I messed up on that one. And I felt really dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't think they subscribe to this, so they'll never know.
I mean, one thing you could do is to make it the fight more deadly early on and then less deadly is by doing alternating activations. So, like you said, you would do the dexterity thing. Basically run it the way you did where the monsters go directly after the first round.
Yeah.
And then the players go, but then the players go, and then the monsters go.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of interesting.
So the players would have essentially 2 rounds in the middle to recover, but they would have taken a bunch of damage at the top, so it would feel more threatening.
Nah.
Nah.
That's how they do it.
That's how they do it in some war games where basically between each turn you roll and whoever wins the roll gets it. And so there are times where you'll go twice
back
in a row.
Back to back, yeah. We did that with when we were playing Knave.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I think that was really fun and interesting, and I do like that, but...
it does give a little bit of variance in combat that I enjoy. Because it's like, I can't plan 3 moves, like 3 rounds, because I don't know whether or not in that 3 rounds the monster is going to go ahead of me every single time, or if I'm going to go twice in a row or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of hard to plan, which makes it feel a little bit more dynamic, I feel like.
I think what is cool about that is the variance. I think what Karen tries to do all the time is like simplify things, and so like having a die roll every time, and especially if you think about it, like it does feel like the dex save is like the right mechanic for that,
right?
And so having people roll dex saves like every turn sounds like miserable.
Yeah, I feel like
we've gotten to a point where, as a group, we're sort of like, hey, what if we just took all the dice out of TTRPGs, which is funny because we played our Haunt, and we're gonna have an episode coming out of it on that in December. But one of the things that we were talking about in the car afterwards was like there were no dice. There was like nothing that we could adjudicate situations with.
Yeah, it was weird. We'll talk about it more when Shade is in when we do the episode with Shade about it. But yeah, no, I always try to. Well, so these two players are in my regular game, my 5e game, which is like the only game that I run. And I'm trying to shift over to Karen, to my Karen hack, because I just, like that it's, I like that it's simpler. I like that it's faster. But the thing that they were saying is like, because I think I've run this game for them for like maybe 2 years.
Sure.
And they were like, oh yeah, like we know what to expect in your type of game. And I'm like, yeah, this is already kind of how I run games. Like I already kind of run games with like very little dice rolling, very few skill checks.
Yeah, and you already kind of used all of the kind of structures of Cairn within the D&D that you're already running anyway.
More
like all the best practices, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like more like OSR practices and stuff, where it's just like it's about like fiction first and about like trying to I think a lot of the things that happen with 5e is just like there's a lot of ways to game the rules to do kind of things that are unrealistic.
Right.
Or that feel kind of weird, and then like HP is so weird, and I just like how it works better in Cairn. Because basically what happened was they both took damage to their strength score. Oof. Like they both went like they got hit in their HP. Like the HP in Cairn is like hit protection.
It's the buffer, right?
Yeah, it's sort of a buffer. It represents like you dodging, you getting tired, you like taking bruises and stuff, and it recovers really quickly after combat. Yeah. Like if you take like a 10-minute break, you're all good again. And it's like basically you're catching your breath. But whenever it goes past that, it hits your strength score or something else, depending on what the monster's ability is. Like maybe if it's a ghost, it might take away some of your willpower score or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's typically your strength score. And a strength score represents like a real hit.
Yeah, something landed.
Yeah, something landed, and then you make a save against the new strength score.
Right.
Against the new reduced strength score. And if you fail it, that means you're like bleeding out. The hit was really bad. You're like, you really need help to recover.
Right.
And if you pass it, so one of them failed it, one of them passed it. But both of them survived. And the retainer survived too.
Oh, that's great. Both of them?
Yeah. Everybody survived.
That's great.
Everybody lives. But they didn't walk away with any of the treasure. And I felt bad for them. And I also, I guess, technically left them stranded on the island. You'll read it all in the play report.
Yeah.
I can post the play reports in the Tabletop Discord too.
You should. I think it'd be interesting for people to kind of look at what your table is doing. Kind of thing.
Yeah, what your table is doing. I think it's I don't know. I think I was nervous about it at first, but I feel good having started just playing because I think I was like very in my head about like, I was really in my head, and you're the one that was like just plan it or whatever.
Start, yeah.
And then the first session 0 was canceled because I got sick. Then the second one was canceled because, or not canceled, but it was just like
reduced in number.
It was it was very poorly attended.
Yeah.
Not by the people. Rio was there too, and Michael and his wife, and they were very good. I only name drop Michael because he listens to the podcast.
Oh,
apparently.
fuck yeah, Michael.
But I don't think he subscribes to the Patreon. But
well, fuck you, Michael. This will be in the portion that gets released for free.
Anyway, so it's been fucked up. Anyway, so they they showed up to that one, and then my two of my other players from the Salem game showed up to the third one. So I was like really in my head about the session 0 stuff, but then I think basically we just started playing, and then in the chat I just put like, hey, like we don't need to do session 0 really, like just know that this is all the stuff. Like I already posted all the stuff in the chat. You know. But if you ever want to run an open table,
make sure that people are at those session 0s.
Yeah, I mean, just start. I think with anything, just starting is a good.
I feel like it is the biggest hurdle to get out, to get over in something is just to start doing it. That's why and it's a problem of mine that usually I screw up a project 3 times before I get it actually moving the way I want to. but I just start it early before I'm like super prepared and knowledgeable anyway. But just starting it is always so hard for me. So I'm like, I'll just like trip over myself for the first like section of this project, and then I'll get into it the way
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
One, your Dunkin' cup there, your plastic Dunkin' cup. Did you rinse it out first?
No, I didn't.
Okay, all right. So what you're telling me is that you drank coffee out of that, and then you just put water in it, and now you're drinking coffee flavored water.
Yes.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Well, isn't coffee flavored water just coffee?
No.
This is just a very diluted coffee.
So nasty.
For me, and maybe I don't think that we relate on this probably.
Can't wait for this.
For me, drinking is all about quantity. So like when I drink a bottle of water, I would prefer to drink the whole bottle of water in like one
gulp.
One gulp, yeah.
Just unhinge your jaw.
Yeah, exactly. When I was a kid, I learned how to drink a full bottle of water in less than 6 seconds.
You learned how to do that?
Yes. It was a process. It was trial and error.
This is a skill you were trying to cultivate?
That was in drama club. We were nerds, and so I was watch this, guys. I can super chug this bottle of water. And so I learned how to do it.
Nice. My second question is, this is a question that Rebecca asked me and the other players yesterday.
Okay.
And I think I've told you about her like sort of deep questions to get to know people better and stuff. Her question was, do you have any enemies?
Oh, I do have an enemy.
Ooh, okay.
Let's hear for sure.
Oh shit.
The problem is that I don't even know. He was such a good enemy that I don't even know if he like thinks about me anymore.
And there it was, another free episode preview of Wild Magic. If you want to hear the rest, and I definitely think you should, because it's a pretty good one, well, then you should head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/tabletopped, and join for free today. All right, everyone, have a great week, and we'll see you on Monday.